IPB University. Berikut adalah video induksi keselamatan. Saat ini, kita sedang ada di gedung Startup Center. Gedung ini memiliki satu pintu utama di lantai 1, satu pintu darurat di setiap lantai, dan akses tangga keluar di setiap lantai bila lift tidak dapat digunakan. Lantai ini memiliki 2 alat pemadam api ringan atau APAR yang terpasang di sisi kanan dan kiri bangunan, dan 2 APAR di setiap ruangan, serta hidran di sisi kiri bangunan. Apabila terjadi kebakaran, jangan panik dan tetap tenang. Jika kondisi api masih kecil dan dapat dikendalikan, lakukan pemadaman dengan peralatan yang telah disediakan. Jangan ambil resiko dengan melakukan tindakan yang tidak perlu. Segeralah melakukan evakuasi dan informasikan ke pihak terkait. Gunakan semua pintu terdekat sebagai jalur evakuasi. Berkumpul di titik kumpul yang telah diberi tanda. Ikuti arahan petugas dan jangan kembali ke dalam gedung bila tidak ada arahan. Apabila terjadi gempa bumi, tetap di tempat Anda dan jangan berlari keluar gedung. Tetap tenang dan lakukan langkah berikut. Merangkak di lantai, lindungi kepala dengan tangan Anda. Hindari benda-benda tinggi agar tidak menimpa Anda. Hindari kaca dan benda-benda yang dapat berjatuhan lainnya. Gedung Startup Center merupakan kawasan bebas asap rokok. Jagalah kebersihan sekitar Anda dan buanglah sampah pada tempatnya. Terima kasih atas perhatiannya. Selamat menjalankan aktivitas Anda.
Distinguished guests, keynote speakers, and all participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning and peace be upon us all. First of all, let us express our gratitude to God Almighty for His blessing and health, which allow us to gather here today in great shape. Before we begin, I would like to respectfully greet our leadership and honorable guest today, the Honorable Head of the Institute for Agro-Maritime Development and Entrepreneurship Acceleration, IPB University, Dr. Handian Purwawangsa, S.Hud, MSE, the Honorable Head of International Research Institute for Social, Economic, and Regional Development, IPB University, Prof. Dr. Insinyur Arya Hadi Darmawan, MSc, the Honorable Deputy Head of the Agro-Maritime Development and Science Technopark Institute, Prof. Tri Pratono, the Honorable Deputy Head of Business Incubator and Industrial Partnership, Prof. Rohani, the Honorable Head of the Center of Gender and Child Studies, IPB University, also our speakers today, Dr. Yulina Evariani, SPM ED, the Honorable our speakers for National Changchun University, Prof. Lu Wang Li Xuan, and Assistant Professor Will Ching Tin, PhD, and all distinguished guests which all couldn't mention their name by name, and to all participants around the world. Welcome to the Gender Mainstreaming Policy Seminar Research Networking Discussion with our main theme, Building Resilient Children, Families, and Communities in the Changing World. In this event, in a collaborative initiative between IPB University Indonesia and National Changchun University Taiwan. My name is Nuraini, and I'm honorable to be your Master of Ceremony for today's international seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, on this very nice occasion, before we proceed to the main presentations, let me take you time to greet our participants, offliners and onliners from several different countries. Thank you very much to join our hybrid international seminar today. Okay, the second part, I would like to inform all participants about our seminar growth rules to ensure our event runs smoothly. For online participants, rules number 1, please use your full name, keep your camera on throughout to webinar, use the virtual background, and keep your microphone mute unless you are invited to speak. Gunakan nama lengkap, nyalakan kamera selama webinar berlangsung, gunakan virtual background yang telah disediakan, dan matikan mikrofon kecuali saat dipersilahkan untuk berbicara. Rules number 2, if you would like to ask question, please use the raise hand feature or submit your question through the Q&A or Google Form provided by the committee. Jika mengajukan pertanyaan, silahkan gunakan fitur raise hand atau sampaikan pertanyaan melalui tautan Q&A atau formulir yang disediakan oleh panitia. Rules number 3, please complete the attendance form provided by the committee to the eligible for the e-certificate. Silahkan mengisi formulir presensi yang disediakan oleh panitia sebagai syarat untuk memperoleh e-certificate. For on-site offline participants, rules number 1, during the conference, please silence your cell phone ringtones and electronic devices. Pertama, selama konferensi berlangsung, mohon untuk menonaktifkan suara ponsel dan perangkat elektronik Anda. Rules number 2, on-site participants may ask a question directly to the speaking during the Q&A session. Kedua, peserta di lokasi dapat mengajukan pertanyaan secara langsung kepada narasumber pada sesi tanya-jawab. To open this seminar and to show our respect and love for our beloved nation Indonesia, please join us in singing our nation anthem, Indonesia Raya. Hadirin yang ada di tempat dipersilakan untuk berdiri dan peserta di ruangan Zoom mohon untuk duduk dengan sikap sempurna. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please take a seat. To officially kick off today's event, let us hear the welcome speech for Head of International Research Institute for Social, Economic, and Regional Development, IPB University, Prof. Dr. Insinyur Arya Hadi Darmawan, MSc. Professor, we welcome you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, distinguished guests, speakers from IPB University, from National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan, and all participants. And special greet goes to Professor Liu, maybe he is already online, and Professor Wing Cheng, from National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan, to Dr. Handian and his staff, deputies from Agro-Maritime Development Institute of IPB University, to Dr. Yulina Evariani, the director of Center for Gender and Child, IPB University. It is my pleasure to represent the IPB University to welcome all of you in this event and this collaborative partnership with the title of Building Resilient Children, Families, and Communities in Changing World. The theme is closely related and reflect the mission of our institution, especially our institute, International Research Institute for Social Economic and Regional Development Studies in IPB universities, and also our spirit in IPB. Now we are in the phase of promoting gender development in IPB University. Ladies and gentlemen, children, families, and communities is right now shaping our day-to-day social economic condition, and we have so many issues with migration, gender relation, and social protection schemes that we have to address. Today discussions is very important because especially with migration issues, family caring, it has a profound impact in the household welfare. This is, I think, our day-to-day business, but sometimes we don't realize that it's very important to take into account in our daily life. These issues remind us that development should not only pursue economic growth, but also strengthen families to ensure that caregiving responsibility are recognized, encouraged, and more equally shared. In this context, gender equality, disability, and social inclusion, the GETC, this is the concept that we are also promoting day by day in IPB University, provides an essential framework for promoting equitable access to opportunities and ensuring that women, children, persons with disabilities, and also underserved group are fully included in the development processes. This forum also highlights the importance of international collaboration in addressing increasingly transnational social challenges. We sincerely hope that today's seminar will serve not only a platform for discussion, but also exchanges ideas and also nurturing the collaborative partnership between IPB universities and national Chung Cheng universities in Taiwan. Ladies and gentlemen, before concluding, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the distinguished speakers for generously sharing their expertise, and insight. I also extend my deepest gratitude to National Chung Cheng University with the leadership of Professor Liu for its value partnership and commitment to strengthening the academic collaboration between IPB universities and Chung Cheng universities. And my appreciation also goes to the organizing committee, all the members of organizing committee, and also for the Agro-Maritime Development Institute that has already served and also provided the facilities to support the event of this today's seminar. And for the all participants, in majority they are women from the IPB universities, from graduate students and as well as from undergraduate students of IPB. I would like to express my uh, 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 best appreciation for this. My appreciation also goes to the all the supporting system, supporting staff that makes the event workable and operational. I wish you productive discussion and successful seminar. May this forum generate meaningful knowledge, stronger stronger institutional collaboration between two universities, and lasting partnership that contribute to building more resilient children, family, and communities, as well as women in the both universities. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Prof. Arya. And for the next agenda, let us hear the welcome speech from the head of Institute of Agri-Maritime Development and Entrepreneurship Acceleration, IPB University, the Honorable Dr. Handian Purwawangsa. We will also like to kindly request Dr. Handian to officially open our seminar and research networking discussion today. Dr. Handian, the floor is yours. We will you. Welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Usolli sholli wa yasri amri waluk uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Allahumma sholli ala sayidina Muhammad wa ala ali sayidina Muhammad. Good morning and greeting office and well-being to all of us. Distinguished Prof. Dr. Arya Hadi as head of the International Research Institute of Social, Economy and Regional Development IPB University. Dr. Yulina Eva Riani, head of Center for Gender and Child Studies IPB University. And allow me to greet our speaker, firstly, Assistant Professor Wen Qingting, PhD, and Professor Liu Huang Li Chuan, both of National Chung Cheng University. And also I will greet our my deputy, Professor Tri Partono, and also Professor Rohandi, and all of staff of Agro-Maritime Development and Entrepreneurship Acceleration, IPB University. We give thanks and a praise to God Almighty, who grace and blessing have enabled us to convene in this collaboration forum between IPB University and National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan, under the theme Building Resilient Children, Families and Communities in a Changing World. This seminar is conducted as part of the Prime Step Gender Analysis Program 2026 IPB University. Through this hybrid seminar format, we seek to widely disseminate the Prime Step Gender Analysis Program, extending its reach not only to the IPB University academic community, but also beyond IPB, including to the international community. This time is particularly salient to the present global context, rapid social transformation, increasing labor migration, shifting family structures and persistent, unique in access remain defining challenges across many regions. Within this context, the central concern is no longer whether families and communities will be affected by such change, but how resilient can be systematically built to enable them not merely to withstand this pressure, but to thrive. In closing, I extend our deepest gratitude and appreciate to all the speakers, the organizing committee, and every participant for their active engagement in today's forum. May this discussion yield meaningful contribution to our shared endeavor of building resilient children, families, and communities in a changing world. I wish you a fruitful discussion and may this forum fresh, smoothly, and meaningful. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Dr. Handian. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we dive into the main event, let us capture this wonderful moment together. We kindly invite all of our Zoom participants to turn on the cameras and give us your best smiles. Silakan kepada peserta di Zoom untuk mengaktifkan kamera menggunakan virtual background dan bersiap untuk berfoto bersama. And for everyone here in the room, please get into position and straight up. Silakan berdiri dan mengambil posisi terbaiknya masing-masing. We will start the photo on the count. Naik apa nggak usah di bawah aja ya di apa? Baik. Silakan. Iya. Dipersilahkan untuk Bapak Ibu maju ke depan. Kita ada sesi foto bersama dan peserta di Zoom silakan untuk membuka kameranya dan menggunakan virtual background untuk kita melakukan sesi foto bersama. Okay, we will start the photo on the count 3, 2, 1. Let's the strike visual CGCS to letter S, huruf S. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Boleh. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for all participants.
Terima kasih ya.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, to lead the guide our highly anticipated panel and Q&A discussions this morning, we will be joined by a wonderful moderator, Mrs. Dina Nurdinawati, SKPM MSE. Our moderator today is one of our distinguished lecturer in IPB University. And before I head over the control, please allow me to briefly read her impressive CV. Mrs. Dina is a lecturer at the Department of Communication and Community Development Science, Faculty Social Science and Human Ecology, IPB University. She earned her bachelor degree in Communication and Community Development from IPB University and her master degree in Population and Labor Studies from University of Indonesia. She is currently a doctoral candidate in Population Study at University Gajah Mada. She also served as head of the division Economy, Environment, and Community Development at the Center of Gender and Child Study, IPB University. Her expertise and research experience include gender, population study, community development, environment, climate change, and the empowerment of women, children. She has also been involved in various strategic studied in collaboration with BRAIN, UNFPA, and the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and Child Protection of the Republic of Indonesia and other partner institutions. And we are truly honored to have her guiding our exchange of ideas today. Please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session, welcoming Ibu Dina. Without further ado, Bu Dina, the floor is yours. Hello, check.
Okay, thank you to our wonderful Master of Ceremony for guiding us smoothly through the opening session. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone, especially to our distinguished speakers, guests, colleagues, and also all of the participants joining us both online and on-site. Once again, on behalf of the organizing committee, it's a pleasure for me to welcome you all to the Gender Mainstreaming Policy Seminar entitled Building Resilient Children, Families, and Communities in a Changing World. This seminar is a collaborative initiative between IPB University and also National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan. As kindly introduced by the Master of Ceremony, my name is Dina Nurdinawati. You can call me Dina. I am from Center of Gender and Child Studies, IPB University, or well-known as PKGA IPB, Pusat Kajian Gender dan Anak IPB. And I will be your moderator for this seminar session. Today, we have great privilege of learning from three distinguished speakers. Two speakers are from Taiwan, from National Chung Cheng University, joining us virtually here, Assistant Professor Wen Qingting, PhD, who will share her insight on invisible worker in the global care chain, risk and resilience among Myanmar domestic workers. And the second one is Professor Liu Huang Li Chuan, also from National Chung Cheng University. And of course, the last but not least, our head of PKGA IPB, the one and only speaker from Indonesia, Ibu Dr. Yulina Eva Riani SPMED, who is joining here on site and wearing the matching color outfit with me, purple. Thank you, Bu Eva, for joining us. All right, without further ado, I think we can invite our first speaker, Assistant Professor Wen Ching Ting, PhD, from Department of Labor Relations, National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan. But before we listen the presentation from Dr. Ting, I will read the CV before. Dr. Ting earned her PhD in Migration Studies program from the University of Sussex Universitas, United Kingdom. Her academic work focuses on transnational migration and labor, transnational social protection and labor and development. Through her research, she examines the experience of migrant workers, labor mobility, care work, and the social protection challenges faced by workers across national border. Okay, let's we greet Dr. Ting. Hello, Dr. Ting. How are you doing now? Oh, you are still mute, Dr. Ting. Please unmute first. Hello, Dr. Ting. Can you hear my voice? What's your feeling today, Dr. Ting? We are apologize, Dr. Ting. There is some technical trouble, so we can hear your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, good. Wonderful, Dr. Ting. I can hear your voice clearly. What's your feeling today, Dr. Ting?
Very happy, but quite nervous.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ting. Dr. Ting, actually, before we begin, I want to share my secret to you. You know, I spent some time to learn how to pronounce your name and also your university name correctly by using Google Translate. So I hope I did it well. But if I didn't, accept my apologize. So what's my score, Dr. Ling? 100?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely 100.
Successful moderator, yeah. Okay, Dr. Ling, Dr. Ting, it's time for you to present your paper. And your time is about 25 minutes. And I also encourage all of the participants to actively participate in a Q&A session. And if you want to ask, you can drop your question to the Zoom chat, or maybe you can use your raise hand feature on your Zoom, or if on-site participant, you can raise your hand and I will give you the time to ask. Okay, Dr. Ting, it's time for you.
Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank for the conference organizers and then all the participants and professors here. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to present or to share my previous work in Singapore. Yeah, and then today's this research is not the current project, which I have conducted between 2018 and and 2020. Why revisit this why I share this project? I was considered because when this research is a very quite unique historical moment between 2014 and 2019, because when Myanmar imposed a ban on women migrating overseas as a domestic worker. So nowadays, rather than discuss Myanmar today, I use this case to examine broader questions. What happened when a state attempted to protect a woman by restricting their mobility? So that's why I would like to share this case, because does the restricting women's migration actually reduce the risk? So maybe this is not the only the issues in Myanmar. I think it's so for many countries who try to encourage so many their citizens to work abroad. Maybe can reconsider about these issues. So today's topic is invisible workers in the global care trend, risk and resilience among the Myanmar domestic workers in Singapore. First of all, I have to say in advance, because this project is not my own project. As part of the projects in Singapore, National University of Singapore, and at ARI, this is the TRACE projects, and I work with this TRACE project team. So as I mentioned before, what happened when the state tried to protect women by restricting their mobility? Does restricting women's migration actually reduce the risk? So we can see here, as I mentioned earlier, because between 2014 and 2019, actually the Myanmar government bans women from migrating for domestic work abroad. However, we still see over 50,000 Myanmar women still work as a domestic worker in Singapore during this period. So that is restricting women's migrations actually reduce their risk or remaining transform it. So I briefly introduced this research. As I mentioned earlier, as part of the TRACE project, we focus on the domestic workers issues from Myanmar working in Singapore. And the field work conducted in Myanmar and Singapore between the 2018 and 2019. We start from the field workers in Yangon, and because the Myanmar female white migrants in Singapore, mainly from Yangon regions. And also because we observe the ban from the government, so we observe some of the training or social activities under this ban situation, and both field work conduct in Singapore and Myanmar. Sorry. So for Singapore's policies, they started to recruit the domestic workers in 1978. And so currently, we can say they have a high demands for those domestic migrant workers in Singapore. We can say about 1 in every 5 households, employers, they hire 1 domestic workers. So the domestic workers undertake a variety of tasks, including housekeeping, elder care, child care, and contribute to the family's harmony. So it's 2 years contracts. It's renewables up to 60 years old. So that means the domestic worker can work in Singapore when they are young until they are 60 years old. So they must be at least 23 years old within a limit of 8 years of education. So the employer obligations, they have a mandatory 5,000 security bond subject to forfeiture if the work permits regulations are break by the domestic worker. And from the Myanmar side, as I mentioned earlier, during that period, the government banned the ladies working abroad as domestic workers. However, Myanmar is also a key source for the care and industrial workers in Southeast Asia. And actually, the Myanmar women working abroad as a domestic workers since 2013. But however, the government consider about to ban this types of migrations because they think the destination countries may not treat their Myanmar girls nicely because at that moment there's an accident, a girl's suicide. So that's why they start from 2014 to ban they working as a domestic workers. As I mentioned earlier, so because during these times it's illegal, the government's ban, so it become like the migrations remains illegal in Myanmar. However, they still can work in Singapore legally. Why? How do those domestic workers through what kinds of channels working in Singapore? Mostly they through the informal channels. So we can see, as I mentioned, in the original countries, their status is illegal to recruit and to train. So, however, in the destination country, Singapore, they convert their status become legal. So they can legal to enter and obtain the employment. Because in the Singapore side, the workers only need the necessary documentation is the in principles approval letters as they arrive. So in the name of the protection for the woman, however, when the woman is through the informal channel, it's not really protections. So in the end, those girls' migration is pushed entirely into unregulated and informal black market. So how irregularities convert into the formal employment? In Myanmar side, it's the illicit economy. However, in Singapore side, it's the formal economy. So they throw those unlicensed workers and to working in Singapore. So those prospective migrants relied on the forged documents, fake tourist status, and bribe. So they paid a small departure fee to the airport runners. That's which the informal workers to teach them. However, in Singapore governments, they don't really concern about what kinds of channel they come from. As long as arrive in Singapore, they have the in principle of approval letters. They can get the legal worker permit. So this is how these kinds of channel forms. We can see in Myanmar side some of the subject workers, and then they may also work with other unlicensed brokers, and then they work together with the Singapore's licensed agent. those who can arrange their arrival, host the train, and deployed under legal conditions. Apart from the informal workers, those domestic workers, they also through the informal network. Therefore, this informal network dominate the care migration industries. So consisting of the multi-scalar collaborations and operates the extending across the diverse stakeholders in Myanmar and Singapore. So this is in Myanmar side, it's very small scale and the hidden side low profile because they consider as illegals in Myanmar. So when we try to conduct this research, it's quite a difficult challenge because though not only the domestic workers, they don't dare to share their brokers' contact information to us. They also not willing to share some of their families' contact information for us. However, we're still lucky because we already built the trusted relationship with those domestic workers in Singapore side. So we start from those current domestic workers in Singapore side and working, and then we trace back to their brokers and also their families in Myanmar side. So for this research, I would like to share these three lenses to understand the invisible structures damage. So first one is risk of productions, and second is multiple intersectional domains, and the third is slow violence. For the first lens, the risk is produced and amplified across the border. So because in Myanmar side, it's a stigmatized social position and illegal status, and then they have to pay the upfront debt in order to get the destination countries in Singapore. And in Singapore, although they are legal status, however, because their working status, even the governments have regulations. The domestic worker have 1 day off. However, the brokers, the agents, and also the employer, they always suggest them to try to extend their workings on the weekends in order to save money and also to get the pocket money. However, as I mentioned, they have to pay the upfront debts. Doesn't mean they have to prepare before they arrive in destination country. They don't really need to prepare the money, but however, they start working, they have to deduct like 7 to 9 months of their salary, totally deducted with. So they don't really have that means within like 7 to 9 months, they may not get salary. That's why they can accept the suggestion from the employer and also the agents. They can continue to work on the weekend. And the second is the accumulated disadvantage of intersectional identities. Those ladies, not just women, migrant for this kinds of identity. It's also because they working in the difficult situation. So that's in the this all combined together. As we read from those document, the workers from Philippines and Indonesia, maybe the governments think they are treat them as national heroes because they sacrifice and then they contribute themselves. However, in Myanmar, the government doesn't really appreciate. So their situation, their work is heavily stigmatized, banned by the state. And also the salary also, we can see the Philippines, they can get domestic worker, they can get the higher salary than the Myanmar because people consider about because the Philippines, the domestic worker or the Indonesia's domestic worker, they have a high professional knowledge or the English or language privilege. However, in Myanmar, they don't really have a formal training, so they may not have they cannot have the formal knowledge or skills and even the language. So that's why Singapore employers pay them the lowest salary. So these kinds of intersection of these identities deeply embedded inequalities before the work even brought the plane. So the third lens is slow violence and the individualization of the risk. So when the sending state failed to provide protection and receiving the state hide the labor in the private homes, structural risks are transferred entirely to the individuals. So the impact is because we can see is also the one kind of the violence, because violence is not always a sudden physical attacks. So we also heard from different domestic workers their experience. It's the daily invisible erosions of their health and also their right and their family's relations. So it's become like the slow violence. So we can see this trend shows the informal work. However, this is the informal workers, they defend by themselves. They said although they are operate this recruitment irregularly, however, they see themselves is try to help those domestic workers, because we see so many informal domestic workers. They are also the ex-domestic workers from Myanmar working in Singapore. So they understand their situations. They can nicely treat those domestic workers than the recruitment agency. That's what their statement. So they think they can provide the more security environment for them and form a safety net for them. So offer them advice and share experience, so can navigate into so many different kinds of complex and administrative work. However, as long as they mention this, they are trying to help those girls. But when we also find out from our field work, some of the girls and ladies, they hold the fake document. So because as the Singapore government require the domestic work at least to 23 years old. However, some are under 20s. So we can see the document is not real, it's fake. So this is also become a big issue. When the documents they hold are fake, if they suffer some of the issues or the violence, in the destination countries. They cannot really claim their right because people they hold they worry they hold the fake document. So at that moment, is that really protect them or not? So the informal brokers face these kinds of a moral ambivalence situation. So this part I have already mentioned, so I skip. So we can see at the national level, so the policies on migrations in Myanmar and Singapore, the gap put the domestic workers at the risk because the Myanmar government spent to drove those domestic workers to seek risky, irregular migration routes. So the state policy constraint the women as particular at risk, and thus in need of the protection can have the opposite effect of creating the condition that make them vulnerable to being with. So I'm going to show you some of the informal training arrangement emerged during the migration plan. So the first type is overseas employment agencies, because those legal agencies are not allowed to send legally deploy the female migrant worker to work as a domestic worker. They only allowed to deploy the male migrant workers to work in the construction site or industrial sites. So the agents, they try to operate undergrounds. So the recruitment and the training fall outside of the state's legal provisions. And the type 2 is the training center in Myanmar set up by Singapore Training Center. Because in Myanmar side it's very sensitive, so they keep a low profile. So you can see these kinds of the posters on the walls. They also lock the doors. So it's become a very difficult challenge to approach those individuals, suppliers in the training center. You can see they also have some of the announcement: no photos, no videos, no records. Even it's a legal health care training center, but they still concerned about the situation is quite sensitive. And we also can see this gate is locked. And the training and the consultancies organizations on the 4th floors, but they still lock the door. And then the type 5 is the so-called informal training at home, which, as I mentioned earlier, those informal workers, how they train and how they recruit those domestic workers. They recruit them and they also put them in their own house as a training center. So they defend by themselves. They say like they have a lot of food and also the modern equipment. They give them good trainings and they treat them well. So, and some of the informal workers, their training area is like the food stores or the beauty salons, because they consider about if the police come in, they can say those girls who are the waitresses at their food store, or they they are their staff members at the beauty salon. So in order to avoid the police visit. So these kinds of situations, those girls, they try to, because they have a different types of the visas in Singapore and the work permit. So even live-in caregivers, they are also treated as domestic workers. So just the salary is a little bit different. So some of them may try to get the formal training in Singapore and also in Myanmar to look for those legal training center to improve their skills, the professional skills, in order to get more salaries or to get some to reach some of the standards and in order to have to change their position and status. So, however, from the Singapore side, those training centers or the legal recruitment agency, they think they don't really although they work together with the informal workers in Singapore, in Myanmar side. However, they still not fully trust them. So they also want to protect themselves. So those documents they send to them, the Singapore's agents also have to verify the document. And then the domestic workers sent to Singapore, they also have to ask them to do the mock interviews in order to then pass the Singapore government's interview. However, they also have to protect themselves. So the Singapore's agents, they try to make recordings for those domestic workers to also get the signed statement and to ask them to mention all the documentations they submit are correct. So this is from the Singapore side. So who is going to take those responsibilities? Because the government, in the name of protection, banned the girls working abroad. And then the informal workers, they try to, they think they try to help those domestic workers, the women in the countryside, the rural area, to get the salary, support their family's livelihood. And then, but they're still making the fake document for them. So if something happens, who is going to take the risk and take the responsibility? So here, I'm not going to say
Excuse me,
the
Dr.
conclusion.
Ting. Excuse me,
Yes.
Dr. Ting.
Yeah. Yes.
This is
Yes.
just a kindly reminder. Your time is about 2
Okay.
minutes more. Thank
Yeah. This is the final page now.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. So who should bear the risk of the transnational migrations? It's from the migrant domestic worker themselves, or the family left behind, or the recruitment agencies, or the employers, or the state. I would like to say these women do not simply cross the national border. They also carry the care across the borders. Yet the risk associated with the care remain profoundly unequally distributed. So thank you for your listening. That's all my sharing. Thank you so much. If you have some question, I'd like to answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ting, for your insightful presentation. I think the title itself says a lot, Invisible Workers. And Indonesia and also Myanmar actually face almost the same condition related to migrant worker like you present before. Okay. I think your study reminds us that domestic workers are often invisible, although they play a vital role in supporting families and the care economy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, is there any gentleman here? Oh, okay, there are two gentlemen here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, no, I'm sure there are already many questions sparkling in your minds and also in my mind, but you have to hold to them for a moment because the Q&A session will be held after all the speakers have finished delivering their presentation. But don't worry, you can drop your question on chat room, or you can prepare your question first, then I will give you time to ask. Now, we move to the second presentation. Moving to our second session, please join me in welcoming our next distinguished speaker, Professor Liu Wang Li Chuan from National Chung Cheng University, Taiwan. Give applause for Professor Liu. Or maybe reaction from Zoom. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
Okay, are you ready?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear your voice clearly, very clearly.
Thank you.
Okay. How are you doing now, Professor?
I'm feeling exciting.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Professor Liu. Before we begin the presentation, please allow me to briefly read the curriculum vitae of yours. Professor Liu. She is a professor and chair of the Department of Labor Relations. Professor Liu earned her doctoral degree in sociology from the Catholic University of Leuven, Belgium, and holds master degree in sociology and labor studies from University Catholic de Leuven, Belgium, as well as a bachelor degree in French from Tam Kam University, Taiwan. Her areas of expertise include comparative labor policy and industrial relation, international migration and social integration, social dialogue, and active aging. Beyond her academic role, she has also contributed to various professional and policy bodies, including labor and employment relation associations, human rights protection committees, Anti-Human Trafficking Coordination Initiative, labor rights working groups, and international legal advisory networks. With her extensive academic, policy, and professional experience, she will share her insight on labor relation, migration, and social protection in contemporary society. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, maybe that is a brief overview of our second speaker's background. Without further ado, let us dive into the second session. Professor Liu, you can share your material. Let's check first. Okay, thank you, Professor. It has been appear clearly. So the floor is yours.
Is it?
Yeah. It has been appear clearly, Professor. The floor is...
Yeah, but I'm thinking to make it the whole screen. Is that clear now? Excuse me, so now it's whole screen?
Yes.
Okay, so in a very limited time, I would like to share our current research sponsored by the National Science and Technology Council, which it is a cross-disciplinary research focusing on also social safety net and resilience for agricultural labor force. So I would study the impact of new immigrant policy on rural agricultural labor force in Taiwan. And let's see. So let's start with a observation report from the Control Yuan. The Control Yuan is ombudsman. So that is a high-level committee that supervise the national policies in every dimension. So as you may already understand, the shortage of agricultural labor is a long-standing problem in Taiwan. I don't think it's only in Taiwan, but in major, let's say, manufacturing countries. So in recent years, it has been aggravated by falling birth rates and population aging. So later, then I will explain the situation. So with the current phenomenon that make the shortage of grassroots labor increasingly severe. So meaning it's really very serious. And labor shortage, in particular in agriculture, is not a temporary or a provisional issue. It has evolved into a comprehensive crisis that threatens the very survival of the entire agricultural sector. I will explain why. And although the government are also trying to promote, for example, agriculture mechanization or by using modern technology, but the shrinking scale of farmland operated per household year after year makes automated machinery difficult to apply. So that's because in Taiwan, every farmland is quite, let's say, separated and with a very small scale that cannot enable the automatic machine to exhaust to maximize the profit. And for farm work, I think everyone would agree, farm work is physically very demanding, harsh, and unstable, and in particular, dangerous. So most Taiwanese young workers, they prefer to work for the manufacturing or, for example, the IT sector or the service sector. And that is the situation that for agriculture sector is always and become serious, the shortage of labor. And for population aging in agriculture, as I just show you some statistic. So here, the aging problem, especially in agriculture, is increasing. So by the end of 2021, the average age of Taiwan's farmers had risen to 67 years. But our compulsory retirement age is 65. So this means that the aged farmers, they still have to work, and without funding, young labor force to replace them. So elderly workers make up over half, so more than 50% of aged farmers, they still work. And those aged 70 and above existing 36% of the whole working population. And often that on the ground, this aging group is described as the 1,000-year-old club, meaning 千岁团, meaning that all are elderly workers in the farmland. And we can also find that shrinking farm household population has fallen sharply from 4.3 million to 2.7 million. And here you can see in 2005, the population in agriculture, the farm household is 2.8 million. But here in 2025, last year, it's 1.9, around 0.9 million. So it's a loss of nearly 1 million labor force. And here, if you see the aging of Taiwan's agriculture, for the deep color, that is the national population age beyond 65. And here, the brown, the light brown column is agricultural workforce age beyond 65. So here you see an increasing gap compared with the average retirement age. And let's see the employment analysis of new immigrant women. So when I call new immigrant women, meaning that when Taiwan start or open the labor market to welcome foreign labor force into Taiwan, it was started from 1992. But in the same time, by taking this opportunity, it also opened a door for this kind of cross-national marriage. So it's shown as an accompanying phenomenon. And so we called for migrants who enter the labor market society or through work or through marriage reason. Especially for marriage reason, they can acquire Taiwan's nationality after the marriage. But for migrant workers, it's still difficult. But now we provide, let's say, a transmission from the primary sector, and when they become skilled worker, then they will have an access to move to a so-called skill level migrant. And for new immigrants who are mainly female in the whole population, the employment rate and labor force participation in Taiwan, they have risen significantly after 1992. So as they hold legal work rights in Taiwan, and their overall employment structure shows a clear concentration in certain industries. So I think a majority will focus on manufacture, and then followed by accommodation and food services, and then so the so-called HoReCa sector, and then wholesale and retail trade, and then other services like beauty and hairdressing. Now that's the population is a bit increasing. So only 3 to 5% in agricultural, forestry, fishing, and animal husbandry. So you can see the side effect since the new immigrants actually into the agriculture labor market, it's not significant. So how come does the agriculture sector maintain their labor force if Taiwan need to have to make sure that we have sufficient labor to support our agricultural activities? And another characteristic about new immigrants is a so-called chain migration. So for the so-called new immigrants, as they get the Taiwan's nationality, then of course they might expect that their kins, friends, or village friends, and maybe they should have the similar opportunity. I mean, to work, either to work or marry a Taiwanese male. So, as I said, the marriage market starts comparatively with the labor market. So, constrained by legal migrant worker quota, farm owners, since they have no choice but to rely on relatives whom new immigrants bring to Taiwan. So under this kind of family visit or dependent visit arrangement and farming kin and friend teams. So we call it a chain migration. And these kin and friend teams face no language barriers and can look after one and each other and has become a stable labor force. But constrained by the current policy, it's kind of provisional labor force, meaning that they can stay for certain months, and then they have to, it's not permanent and it's not long enough. For new immigrant women, since they, let's say, they fill the rural labor gap, which appears to be very significant. If we compare that the labor force in agricultural sector, so we should thank our new immigrant women together with the chain migrant labor force that's trying to sustain the supply of labor force in agricultural sector. And for the new immigrants, as their children, they gradually grow up, new immigrant women, they begin entering the labor market. But since they start to learn the Taiwanese, they say the language, the custom, the culture. So the rural labor market itself is highly flexible and informal. So that will enable the new immigrants that they can try to adapt the various situations. And the new immigrant women's work choices, they are normally lively oriented and highly adaptable. So that also fill the needs in agricultural sector, as I mentioned. So normally in agricultural sector, you have let's say it's a kind of a season demand, right? And work also gives them a source of income and a path to economic independence. So let's say forming a mutually beneficial relationship between rural communities and new immigrant women. So the rural community also welcome the new immigrants, even their kins and the family. So here we can see when the new immigrants, they started as a laborer, but little by little, they learned, and then they accumulated a huge sum of experience and resources. So greater economic independence, and also their family status has been improved as they provide irreplaceable labor force and contribution to the family, and then increase participation in decision making as long as they hold the resource in the family, in the household, and expanded social networks, as I said. And also we observe that there's a shift from resource recipient to resource provider. So before, the new immigrants may be stigmatized as, okay, so they're just trying to receive resource from Taiwan, but now we can see they are resource provider. And new immigrant women, as key members of the labor network, particularly in irregular labor market. So as I mentioned, it becomes a side effect since more and more, for example, migrant workers in Taiwan who trying to, let's say, who disappear or broke their contract with their previous employer, they may become irregular migrant in Taiwan, but they will try to find job, especially in the farmland. And we can also find interesting technology, so-called, I mean, the AI or the digital tools and resource access capability, especially for the new immigrants. So, for example, they can easily transmit the job information, job hunting, work dispatch, job-related communication, etc. So they might become, let's say, an independent recruiter or independent agent, although it is irregular. And policy information. So, for example, they can easily learn where they can find government subsidies, welfare policy, agriculture policy, etc., and to learn new skills. And also for the resource utilization. So they can gather information, sharing, and resource connection, not only within Taiwan, but also with their hometown. So here is a very interesting phenomenon. I call it, it's kind of digitalized transnational care. So we know that the new immigrants, they keep very strong link with their origin family. But with cell phone, then they can, especially now you have AI, then you can easily, I mean, you can easily follow and with the new technology, and then you can easily not only communicate, but you can also see the family situation and easily to communicate. So it's unlike before that this kind of homesickness is very serious, or they can directly communicate with their mother or with their relatives in the hometown and provide some kind of, let's say, assistance or to provide some efforts to solve the problem in their hometown. And extended findings that I would like to emphasize. That's because, especially I think in recent years in Taiwan, we have increasing critiques or comments, hostile comments about migrants or irregular or even, of course, irregular migrants. And migrant workers are considered, in particular, irregular migrant workers are considered as thief, or they are trying to take advantage of the Taiwanese treasure, and they're exploiting the welfare budget. Some kind of critical comments like this, but in effect, if you see the initial expectation, then we see the internet that would make it easier for new immigrants to support their families of origin. That's true. But it doesn't mean that the new immigrants, they will just contribute their effort to their mother family. Instead, they can take care their mother family, but still they stay in Taiwan, so they can also care their current family. So they don't really, I mean, steal money and contribute only to their hometown. And in our interview, then we find that children's education and family life are now centered in Taiwan. And also economic conditions in the home country have improved, as I mentioned. So before we might discuss that the new immigrants, they're trying to just financially support their mother family, but actually the economic development, especially in Vietnam, either in Vietnam, in Indonesia, or even in the Philippines, let's say the economic situation is getting better and better. So fewer people remain in the family of origin who need care and they can support themselves, etc. So I think that can try to clarify that the new immigrants, they still strongly contribute to the resource to their to Taiwan, not only to their hometown. And also, the resources are kept and invested in Taiwan. Instead, as I said, they become aware all kind of investment opportunities. So now I have a master's graduate student who are doing her exercise on entrepreneurship, on the study of entrepreneurship of new immigrants in rural area. So that then I expect that we'll have some kind of a very interesting findings. And the impact of new immigrants and transnational labor in agriculture. So to sum up, to make a quick conclusion, that we say we have identified some very positive side, meaning that with the introduction of new immigrants, so that delays the agricultural labor shortage, which it is quite significant, and ease rural families' needs for marriage and childbearing support. So that's really significant, and sustain Taiwan's continued agricultural development and helps avoid village depopulation or farmland abandonment. So you can imagine, with keeping increasingly aging in village, especially in the agriculture and rural area, you can imagine more and more farmland will become deserted or abandoned, just short of labor support. But for negative side, as I said, for the short of labor force, the irregular labor force exactly, sustain in Taiwan and provide their contribution, to maintain the current agriculture sector. But the agricultural labor market has more undocumented migrant workers, but creating unfair competition with domestic farmers because they can accept lower wages and they can enter the regular market with lower cost. So that will also trick this kind of hatred or feeling, negative feeling from the Taiwanese farmers. But I think, take example of our new immigrant marriage policy that we see, or the migrant workers policy. When they can gain the legal access and status in Taiwan, they are under the support and also, the supervision by the legal system. So legalizing their status would help bring them under policy oversight, sustaining fair operation and development in agriculture. So now I'm trying to advocate this kind of policy driven, but it's still a long way to go. As I previously mentioned, this kind of hatred toward the irregular workers is still quite serious now in Taiwan. So I close my presentation and thank you for your listening.
Okay, give applause for Professor Liu. Thank you, Professor Liu. That was a great eye-opening and valuable topic on migrant communities, labor mobility, and social protection in Taiwan. Now, to all of participants, I'm sure the session has sparked even more questions in your mind. But as I told before, we will open the Q&A session after all the presenters present their presentation. So you can hold or you can drop your question to the chat box. Now, we move to the last presenter. Okay, we have finally reached our third and final session. And for this session, we don't need to look across the ocean because our next distinguished speaker is right here with us, live in this ballroom with the purple outfit, same with me. Okay, please give a warm round and applause for Dr. Yulina Evariani from IPB University. I think we can sit over there because the committee has prepared it for us, so we can move. Iyalah, special guest. Good morning, Dr. Eva.
Good morning, Budina.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Incredible. Okay, before Dr. Eva present her insightful presentation, I will read the curriculum vitae. Okay, Ibu Dr. Yulina Evariani, Associate Professor at the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences, Faculty of Social and Human Ecology, or FISEMA, IPB University. She currently serves as a director of the Center for Gender and Child Studies, IPB. So she is my boss. Dr. Eva earned her PhD in Child and Family Studies from the University of Queensland, Australia, where she also completed her postdoctoral fellowship in Child and Family Studies, or Family Psychology. Her expertise covered child and family studies, parenting, child protection, gender, family resilience, and policy-related research on women's empowerment and child protection. With her extensive academic and policy experience, she will share her insight on the implementation of GEDC policy in academic and societal context. That was a brief yet remarkable journey of our third speaker. Now, without further ado, let's dive into our final session. Ibu Dr. Eva, the stage and microphone are all yours.
Okay.
25 minutes.
Okay, baik, terima kasih. Thank you, Budina. So I think I should go down, so I will feel closer to the audience. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So the Honorable Prof. Tri, Deputy of LP2AI, LPA2I, and then Bu Professor Wid, Secretary of LRI, Research International Research Institute, yeah, for Social Economy and wilayah ya Bu ya. Kemudian ada apa namanya our guest from Dinas DP3AP2KB Kabupaten Bogor. Kemudian ada Bu Hangesti from School of Vokasi, Vocational Education, as well as Ibu Irma, and also all guests who are coming, our team from PKGA, Ibu Dina, Ibu Vera, and then Bu Pita, Pak Johan from P2SDM, yeah, and everyone from LP2AI, and thank you. And also I would like to say hello to everyone in Zoom. So thank you for coming for this session, for this seminar, hybrid seminar. So actually I'm just try to complete what two speakers, the earlier speakers saying about migrant worker in Myanmar and also in Taiwan, yeah. So I should say hello to Professor Yu Huang and also Assistant Professor Dr. Ting, yeah, Dr. Ting, hello. So I couldn't see you, but it's in Zoom. So because the previous speakers already explained about the migrant worker, especially women migrant worker in Taiwan as well as in Singapore, I'm just trying to move a bit to Indonesia, but because this is the part of GEDC project, particularly, this is actually the project for Prime Step project. So my session is about implementing GETSI for resilient children, families, and communities. So we try to get a lesson from academia and society in Indonesia. But before we move on, I think we should try to focus on one question. How do we build resilience? How do we build resilience for children, for families, and for communities? Yeah, so I think at the moment, resilience no longer simply as recovering from adversity, but at the moment, resilience itself is trying to provide system for people so they'll be able to thrive from the uncertainty situation. So now we can see here. Kayaknya nggak bisa deh. Okay, next. Okay, next. Ice. Okay. So now we have to see why resilience matters. Next. So for families and for children and also for community, resilience means a lot. Why? Because in this uncertain era, we can see we face so many risks from like climate crisis, and then from poverty, from demographic transformation, rapid change in technology, as well as inequality. So we can see here from climate environmental crisis. So globally people, not only children, but also from families and communities, we face climate change. Yeah. Why climate change is important? Because actually climate change threatens our education, not only health and safety worldwide. In Indonesia itself, this is the data from UNICEF, Indonesia is ranked extremely high globally for children climate risk. They say like this, an estimated 28 million children face exposure to coastal flooding and also from natural disaster. Yeah, and then about poverty. Actually, poverty, it's not only the economy, but also it's about lack of education. Let's say children in Indonesia, we can provide food, but we can't provide high quality of education. We can provide home, we can provide good house, but we can't provide good sanitation. Of course, this situation, yeah, more than just economy, will have impact on the quality or the outcome of children itself. And then after that, we can see how it will link to resilience after this. Next. And also digital and social media. Social media, of course, the rapid change of social media is really, really beneficial for us, right? Everyone likes, everyone loves about the technology. It helps us a lot. But remember, the technology itself has high risk, especially for children. Like, for example, cyberbullying, digital exploitation, what else? Sexual exploitation, or maybe, what's that? Other things like illegal migrant, they get the information from digital media. Shifting family dynamics, like Indonesia. In Indonesia, we have here the problem for family that is related to fatherless phenomena. Maybe in Taiwan, in Singapore, they don't have any problem with fatherless, but in Indonesia, the recent data from Ministry of BKKBN, Ministry of Population and Family Development, just launched last year. So the data mentioned that 25 out of 100 children, they get fatherless. So 1 out of 4, yeah, 1 out of 4 children in Indonesia, they get fatherless. What is the impact? The impact is not only focusing on, oh yeah, the father has limited time and that's all. But the what's that? The father impact, like the children are more vulnerable. The children has limited what's that? Opportunity to learn from the father, etc. And that has very significant impact on their outcomes. And also about demographic transition itself. Indonesia has demographic dividend. We say it's like bonus demography. But then bonus demography itself won't occur automatic, right? We will get the bonus demography if our people are skillful, knowledgeable, and also they have empowerment, right? But how can we get that? Of course, we need something, right? Because if the demographic dividend without that things, without skill, without knowledge, it will have disaster. Probably I can mention about Brazil. Everyone knows about Brazil. Long time ago, Brazil is like Indonesia. Brazil has been, what's that? Like announced has potential for demographic bonus. But until now, Brazil still stay the same. Unfortunately, we are afraid like Indonesia will get the same as Brazil. Like Brazil is still what's that? Developing country, right? Until now. So, but let's say like 10 years ago, Brazil has been promoted as a developed country because they get like a potential demographic bonus like Indonesia. But unfortunately, they don't have that skill. Yeah. Okay, next. Now we move on. Why GETC? Why GETC? Why gender equality, disability, and social inclusion? So the situation, the fact that all people, all family, we face the uncertainty. We face risk. But actually, not all family members, not all children experience risk equally. Let me give you example. Let's say there are two families. They live in the same area, the same access, but then they have different outcomes. Why can they get different outcomes? When we serve or observe intensively, the differences is because of this, because of differences of family resources, the access of family resources, the access to social inclusion, access to the opportunities, and also gender and disability. So it means that building resilience. So if we say about this, yeah, means that if we want to have resilience for children and for family, we need to get access. We need to get opportunity. We need to get resources. We need to get inclusion. So that's why GETC is significant for that. That's why GETC is really important to build resilience. Okay, next. So this one, I try to simplify the resilience framework, like GETC, how GETC can participate or can can involve, yeah, in resilient framework. So the first thing here is gender equality, disability inclusion, and social inclusion, right? Like I said, opportunity, access to opportunity, it won't stay by itself. Means that if there are so many opportunity, if there are so many access, healthcare, education, information, and services, but if people who has access don't feel comfortable to participate in society, if they don't have ability to learn, contribute, and engagement, the access will stay and won't be won't be accessible for people. So So many access. For example, healthcare is available, education is available, but the society don't have any opportunity to participate actively, right? To learn, to contribute, to engage. How can they get the skill? How can they have knowledge? But if, let's say the access is there, but then we push our people to participate actively in society, they will feel more skillful, resources, and has capacity. So if they feel, if they are knowledgeable, skillful, and have more resources, then they will have empowerment to be active, right? To be active, empowerment to be somebody, yeah? And they will be the agency to change, at least to change themselves, to be resilient for themselves as individual. But also, they can be resilient as a part of family. If they are resilient as part of family, of course, can we we can be confident, like if the families in our community are resilient, our nation will be resilient as well. So that's the framework, and at the end, if our communities are resilient, we will get the sustainable development for our nation. Yeah, okay. Now we move on. Why university? Actually, university is not only the place for teaching and research, everyone. But here, we can try to pull university as the ecosystem to implement GETC, to build the resilience. Because university can shape, the knowledge, right? The knowledge. University can build the leadership of like everyone here, I think, especially for students. From university, they can have leadership, can manage the innovation, can create the policy, can implement the social norms. So means that university as a resilient builders can be not only for educational institution, but also can be the ecosystem, the resilient ecosystem, the starting point. And when people in the university go out of the university, they can be the stakeholders, the changers for the community. Okay, next. Now, I just want to show everyone, online and offline, about lesson learned from IPB. So what IPB has been doing so far about GETC and try to be the ecosystem for GETC. This one, so IPB has moved beyond isolated program towards institutional transformation. So IPB has begun to implement our GETC perspective. For evidence, we have the rector regulation and also the guideline. The guideline itself actually has been started since 2024, led by Bu Hangesti, right? Bu Hangesti, the guidelines about GETC, right? But then we move it forward until 2025. We have the rector sign for the guidelines and also for the regulation. So the regulation position GETC as an institutional strategy. Actually, this is the baseline for the program for GETC, how to implement and how to be the ecosystem GETC. Okay, next. So with the GETC framework, IPB has implemented this. For example, IPB has the good governance, inclusive policies, try to implement inclusive policies, and then education, equal access, research, like here, Bu Pita, Bu Wit, and then Bu Vera, Bu Dina. They are very active in conducting research in gender and also community engagement, and also infrastructure, even though infrastructure is still in developing. Okay, what does GETSI looks like in practice? So in IPB, we have student participation, faculty and staff composition, we are equal, and then leadership representation. We have, even though 1 out of 4 deputy rector, deputy rector as a woman, and also disability accessibility, even though we don't have a spatial organization to manage disability access, but at least we are going there. And also we have safe campus infrastructure, anti-violent policies. We have kantor keamanan, something like that, which is responsible for violence, not only physical violence, but also for sexual violence. So everyone here, and also in Zoom, if you feel worry about something about violence, especially for sexual violence, don't hesitate to report it. Yeah, can be to hotline or to kantor or maybe through PKGA. All right, now we try to move on from campus community to research, right? So I just want to share actually to everyone about research that is focusing on GETSI that I've been focusing so far for these 5 years about child marriage. Why child marriage? Actually, child marriage is a GETSI challenge. Why? Let's see about after this. So because this one, so in Indonesia, surprisingly, we always being the top country as a top country for the child marriage number. So top country always, each year. Because approximately, this is the data, 12 million girls worldwide marry before 18 each year, 18 years old. But Indonesia is the largest absolute numbers for child marriage. And always being the top country. Yeah, together with South Asia and also for Africa, some part of Africa. And in Indonesia, the prevalence 1 out of 9 women, they married before 18th birthday. And West Java, where we live now, has the highest absolute numbers. Because of what? Because our population is the highest as well. So that's why we have the highest absolute number for child marriage in Indonesia. So what's the problem? What's the problem? Why child marriage matter? Actually, child marriage is not only merely legal issue that can get married before 18, 19 or cannot. Not only about that. But beyond that, child marriage is a gender issue, particularly for young women, young girls. They get, married before they has to marry. The second one, it's about child protection issue, education issue. Of course, if we compile these problems, it significantly influence about the resilience. How can our girl be resilient if before 18 they already get married and has to look after their family? And can you imagine how their family built with that limited capacity? Of course, the family resilience is also low level. And how can we say the social inclusion issue, social inclusion, if the family itself is not resilient and facing so many challenges? Our study found this one. We try to compare actually between those who get married before 18 and those who get married after 18. After 18, let's say like 21, 28 or something, or 25. And this is the result. For those who get married before 18, they have lower well-being, marital satisfaction. Probably they are very excited when they get married, just at the beginning. But when they continue having marital relation, they have less marital satisfaction. Why? Because of the economic problem, usually. Less positive parenting practice, it's understandable, because how can they can deliver good parenting if they're not finished with themselves? And at the outcome, lower child competencies. And how can we say about the child resilience, family resilience, and society resilience if we still facing this problem as the major problem among our society? This one, the intergenerational vulnerability, because it has like vulnerable, future vulnerable for this, what's that? This family, these girls, child marriage. Of course, it's one of the evidence lack of GETC implementation. There is no social inclusion there, right? And then low well-being. If low well-being for the parents and also the children, it can result in reduced child competencies. At the end, future vulnerabilities, not only for that family, but also for the society and for the nation. Yeah, so that's why our stunting problem is not finished yet until now. Since I think 30 years ago, still keep going. Yeah. Right, so now I think this is the last sharing information. How can we take or build resilient children, families, and communities through the community engagement? So, yeah. So this is what we try to integrate it, GETC resilience model. Try to get from the university research, and then from that, from the problem in community, etc. We try to have inclusive policies in IPB, and then by inclusive policies in IPB, we can push the inclusive education and research, yeah, in many aspects. If we already successful having the inclusive education and research, we are confident that we can empower families, yeah, through positive parenting and through high level of well-being. If we can move that, hopefully we will get positive or high child competencies, and then child competencies will produce child resilience, family resilience, and at the end, community resilience and sustainable development for this nation. Right, we just want to share, this is our experience from PKGA. Actually, PKGA has like quite a few programs for community engagement, focusing on GETC, but because of the limited time, I just want to share two of them. The first one is about the premarital education or Sekolah Pranika, building resilient youth and preventing child marriage. This one, premarital education, just to prevent child marriage in Indonesia. It has been adopted by Dinas Kabupaten Bogor since 2024. This is implemented among adolescents and young adults. Try to develop learning and discussion-based approach and focus not only for family readiness, but also life skill, child marriage prevention, and also try to promote healthy relationship for future family planning. And this one, yeah, this is our Sekolah Pranika curriculum. And this one, the activities we have developed this since 2024 with Dinas Kabupaten Bogor. Try to implement GETC through youth. Yeah. And the second one, this is just recent with Bu Lia, yeah, about Sekolah Keluarga Istimewa. Try to have special family education. Try to strengthen family resilience through parenting education and community empowerment. This is a collaborative partnership with DP3 AP2KB, target groups. This is quite different from the previous one. This is focusing on leaders, wives of government officials, especially for senior level. Why? because they are not only caregivers, but also stakeholders in their community. So hopefully by enhancing and empower these community leaders, they will be able to build resilience in their community. So that's what we expect from this activity, this program. So this is the last slide, I think. So take home message from my presentation, which is trying to pull everything from the university side, from research side, and from community engagement side. Resilience actually is not simply the ability for individuals to overcome adversity or to recovering from adversity, but it is more in capacity of families, institutions, and communities to create the system where they can be thrive, even though they face the uncertain situation. The future of sustainable development actually depends not only on what we build, but on whom we empower. By investing inclusion today, so means that we have to focus nowadays not only on how we build, but also we have to consider whom we empower. Means that we have to include also the children, families, and communities in our program. So that's why hopefully we can build a sustainable future and sustainable nation in the future. I think that's all for my presentation. I hope it's on time, not more than 25 minutes, Bu Dina. Thank you very much for listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ibu Dr. Yulina Evariani, for your insightful presentation, particularly about how the role of IPB in implementing GEDC in order to strengthen resilience of all the civitas of IPB. Okay, now we are entering the most exciting part of our seminar, the Q&A and panel discussion session. To keep our discussion organized and smooth, I will divide this session into 2 rounds. And because of the limited time, maybe our opportunity to ask only 2 sessions, only 2 rounds, I mean. So the first round is 3 questions. Maybe the committee has prepared or maybe recap the questions from Zoom. Because I can access to the Zoom. Okay. Oh, okay. There are 3 questions for Dr. Ting. And then, is there any question else? Any other questions? The first round maybe each presenter or each speaker should have 1 question. So I will select in the first round 1 question for each speakers. Okay, for Dr. Ting first maybe. For Dr. Ting, okay, from Irma Rasita Gloria Barus from IPB University. This case of Myanmar, a female worker facing abuse despite legal migration is heartbreaking. What action are the government of Myanmar and Singapore taking to stop this? How women's organization in both countries support better protection for this worker? Yeah, it is an interesting question, I think, and it can be a lesson learned for Indonesia also, because we face the same condition. And then for Professor Liu, maybe, is there any question? Okay. Because I choose number 1 for the Dr. Ting, so I will choose number 2 for Professor Liu. From Nurfianto Glar Pangidun, General Public. If advanced farm mechanization are supposed to solve Taiwan's labor shortage, why does Taiwan still rely on migrant workers? Wow, this is such a critical question, yeah? Especially women, and how is the government's focus on technology rather than worker welfare causing its own labor crisis? Okay, and the last one for Dr. Eva, I will choose number 3 from Endang Roh Suciati from IPB University. Professor Yulina, thank you for your explanation. We read from some newspaper or medias the problem of sexual and domestic abuse to children and women. For women, children in the so-called dormitories, it happened on how to prevent such cases to happen. Okay. So, of course, it's also an interesting question, and I will give the time for the speaker to answer the question. Who will be the first? Dr. Ting? Dr. Ting, will you answer?
Can you hear me?
The first? Okay. Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yes. We can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. It's for my understanding, because these kinds of tragedies and hardworking accident happen. The governments of Myanmar only want to do is just ban these kinds of migrations, and the civilian people support the government's actions. So they don't really have a real protection action. What they do is just ban. So it's for those like girls, they just feel like helpless. That's why the informal broker saying that she is trying to help those women, because in the rural areas, lack of working opportunities. So as long as she also the extra domestic worker, she understands the situation for the family. So that's why she tried to help. She tried to help those girls working abroad, even the government ban. But for the Singapore, I think for the Singapore government, they only just try to for those the requirement for those license agencies, and also for those more strict on the mandatory orientation programs, and also give some of the training for those domestic workers, but as well as they work for some of the civil society in Singapore. They are trying to do the interviews or provide the care service for those domestic workers, and also for some of the NGOs in Singapore, they conduct some of the service programs and to work in for those domestic workers, but also some of the stress from or actions from the communities in Myanmar who already in Singapore, like the temple or monasteries or the like church, or even some of the communities association. They try to help those girls, but what they do is only try to do the service and more care, more like considerations of care. However, can still this kinds of situation, I think still can doesn't really reduce. And for the Myanmar government, their ban also create some of the risk for these domestic workers. So that's the situation at that moment. What I understand, that's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ting. For yeah, and next, Professor Liu. Oh yeah, for the first speaker.
Yeah.
Who asking the first speaker, please? The name of who's asking? Oh, okay, Ibu. Are you satisfied with the answer? Any other further question? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for Ibu and also for Dr. Ting, who has answered the question. And also, and the next, I will give the chance to Professor Liu to answer the question.
Thank you, Chair. So you are asking me to tackle the question 2, right? So if advanced farm mechanization are supposed to solve Taiwan's labor shortage, why does Taiwan still rely on migrant workers? Is that the question?
Yes, the number
Okay.
2 question.
Yes, yes. As I previously mentioned, there's still a huge loss and increasing loss of agricultural labor force in Taiwan. So that is a problem, and even the government trying to sponsor, let's say, this kind of automation or smart machine for agriculture. But as I said, you need to reform the farmland. Normally now the existing farmland is quite let's say segmented, and so the owner these farmlands are owned by different owners. So you have your own opinion, and he got his own decision. So it's sometimes it's quite difficult to consult and to agree that okay, so all our farmland should use this kind of automation, right? So that is one thing. Second thing, that you need all the farmland need to be, let's say, planned, and so that will enable the machine to operate. These are the current difficulties, and for migrant workers, I would like to say we are trying to solve. Yes, machinization, that is one solution, and second is as we mentioned, our project is trying to safeguard and protecting their health, especially for agricultural farmers, right? So we have to consider all let's say factors like aging, like migrant domestic worker, whether they own status or irregular status or regular status. So that is another very burning issue in Taiwan. For the time constraint, so I would just briefly reply in such a way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Liu. Who's asking the question for this number 2? Bapak Nurfianto? Which one is? Oh, on Zoom. Okay. So maybe you can confirm to the committee on chat room if you don't have any other question, any further question. Okay, thank you. But Professor Liu, it's such a
Yes.
paradox phenomenon. Actually, Indonesian worker, especially young worker in Indonesia, is not really interested in agriculture, but they are interested to go to Taiwan as agriculture worker. Yeah, maybe because there are different ways between agriculture worker in Indonesia and in Taiwan. Okay, next. Yeah. Next question for Ibu Eva, Mangga.
Thank you, Bu Dina. So the question from Ibu Endang from IPB, Zoom, through Zoom, ya?
Yeah, yeah, good. Thank
Zoom.
you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. we read from some newspaper the problem of sexual and domestic abuse for children, especially in dormitories. Of course, yes. At the moment, it's shocking. Yeah, Budina, yeah, it's really shocking news that even in dormitories, our children get sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and why it happened. I think there are many factors why it happened. Like for example, the first one in dormitories, agree or not, yeah, we still don't have any strict policies, yeah, implementing in dormitory about how to what's that, manage the problem, how to socialize what is the sexual harassment, violence, etc. to the students. So if there is, we can imagine if our students, they don't have any knowledge about what is violence, what is sexual harassment. For example, our student yesterday who's working with us, she conducted like education through to the SMP junior high school students, and surprisingly, when she conducted pre and post test, in pre-test, when she asking about what violence means, what kind of violence potentially happen to them, and what factors can make the violence happen, they still don't know. So means that the score for the answering the right question is low before the education. So we can imagine, even though this is in city, like in Bogor, the knowledge from our students, from our junior students, junior high school students, about the violence itself is still lacking. So we can imagine what happened to our students in dormitories, in village area, in rural area. They don't have any access knowledge about violence, about what is actually sexual harassment means. Sometimes they may think, oh, it's okay if the teacher hold their body, or maybe for some reason, something like that. Oh, maybe it's the relation between teacher and students. But actually, what's that, acceptable. So that's the first thing. The knowledge itself is still lacking for our students, and the policy itself, the socialization about sometimes the teacher, for example, let's say in dormitory, which has a very intensive relation, right? Sometimes probably they didn't intend to do the sexual harassment, but because the first thing, they didn't know if that can lead them to do that, yeah, they do it. And then, oh, maybe the teacher feel, oh, that's okay to hold the mahasiswi, or to hold the students, the woman student. And when it's not stopped, it will develop something more intensively. And the last, other than that, about the, what's that, monitoring things, about the monitoring things, like probably lack of what's that, CCTV, and also lack of awareness from people in dormitory, and also intimidation or something like that. So means that 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 case, if we want to prevent that like comprehensively, we can't just what's that, take pelaku, the perpetrator, the apa namanya, the predator, or just pelaku, the perpetrators, something like that, and we just blame others. Yeah, it can't be like that. We have to build the system from every single things, from the policy, from the infrastructure, from the knowledge, from the socialization, etc., and including from the students itself. So hopefully with that comprehensive strategy, we can prevent and minimize the case in Indonesia, particularly in dormitory. So I think that's all. Thank you, Budina.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Dr. Eva. So it's very surprisingly, I think, because the student still understand about violence in narrow definition, yeah, not in the wide
That's right,
definition,
yes.
because they only think that the harassment is only the hard
That's right.
harassment.
Yes.
So like catcalling or touching in the
Yeah. Like body.
yeah.
So it's not considered as violence
Yeah.
or sexual
Yeah,
harassment.
so
but
that's
to be-
our challenge, yeah.
Yeah.
How to educate them, and after that maybe we can make GEDC mainstreaming after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Agree.
Okay, thank you. And who is asking for this third question? Zoom or on-site participants? Zoom, okay. So if you have satisfied with the answer from Dr. Eva, I will turn into the second round. Maybe I will give the chance for you all if you want to ask directly here, maybe only two, yeah, only two questions, because our time is so limited. Okay, one, and then in Zoom, maybe another one from Zoom. I will give a chance for you. Anybody raise hand? No, not yet. Another one maybe here. Only one or any other? Okay, only one. Okay, please.
Test. Okay. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Alisa. So I'm general speaker, and also I'm incoming master degree student in IPB University in this year. So before I start it, can I give one question each for the three speaker?
Okay, please.
Okay. So first for Dr. Ting. Okay. Based on the case studies presented, which intervention is most effective at breaking the cycle of cumulative disadvantage? It is a predator stage or during the employment or upon the return to the home country. Okay. So the second question for Prof. Liu, in your data, do you see the economic empowerment of these migrant women as outwitting their structural vulnerability? Or do they two tend to coexist without one really winning? Okay. Okay, the second question, the last question is, among the resilience component that Bu Eva presented, which one is harder to strengthen when the program targets in GEDSE, yeah? The program target with the family member with this disability or female as a headed household. Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So this
Sorry,
only,
sorry, can you repeat
only
the
one person, but she has three questions for each speaker. Okay. There is another one who want to ask. I think this is the last question, yeah, because we only have about 30 minutes after this. 15. Oh yeah, microphone you can use on the table.
Yes. Okay. Hello, my name is Zazira from IPB University. I have two questions from two.
Sorry, we cannot hear.
Okay, first question is, every country agrees that care workers are essentials, yet they remain among the least protected and lowest paid workers. What is the single biggest political barrier preventing governments from treating care as critical infrastructure rather than private labor? And the second is, like you explained in the presentation, many Asian countries depend on migrant care workers, but care workers are still among the lowest paid and least protected workers. Do you think ASEAN should develop a regional policy to better protect care workers and address the growing care crisis together? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. Next, I give a time for Professor Liu first, maybe, because before we ask Dr. Ting to answer first, maybe now Professor Liu first to answer the question from Alisa, yeah, Miss Alisa, and then the second question is about, do you think ASEAN should make like a regional policy, yeah? How to protect their migrant worker? Okay, please, Professor Liu.
Excuse me. So the question is about protection for migrant workers now in Taiwan. Is that the core of the question?
Yes, in Taiwan, but also maybe there is a chance in the future how ASEAN make regional rule or regional rule about how to protect the migrant.
Okay, so Taiwan is not a member in the ASEAN League, right? So that is it's rather a country league for South and East Asian countries. But for Taiwan, the Taiwan government vowed to domesticate 10 UN Human Rights Convention. So, for example, the Convention of ICERD that is concerning about ethnic migrants in Taiwan, and also migrant, in particular for the protection of migrant workers. So relating to migrant workers in Taiwan, I think the most problematic might come from the domestic workers side. But for manufacturing sector and also for agriculture sector, and they are under the protection of Labor Standards Act, which is comparable, I mean, between migrant workers and the national workers. So there's no difference. But for domestic workers, they still need a more comprehensive protection, as now they are currently excluded from the Labor Standards Act, which trying to cover the majority of workers, regardless of their nationality. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, Dr. Ting. Dr. Ting.
Okay. Okay.
Have
Can you hear me?
noted the question, or should I mention again?
May I answer the second question first?
Okay.
Second question first.
Okay.
Yeah. Because the question is about why does any political barriers to improve the care workers the condition, why still and they face the legal protection? Is that maybe I answer this question first, especially in Taiwan, because the domestic workers are generally excluded from the labor law, because the government or the civil public who really need the domestic help, workers or helpers to help their families, they may consider about like because the workers working at home is regarding their working hour or rest time days, it's difficult to distinguish it, and also it doesn't really cannot be regularized as other migrant workers working in the factory. So it become like a difficult, especially in Taiwan, because as long as some of the NGO try to advocate for the domestic workers' right, however, because some of those care recipient, their family, they were stand at the opposite side because they consider about the lack of the if they because if they regularly calculate the working 8 hours like days, so that will make the families in very difficult conditions. However, so the government try to include some of the long care system regulation to put more resources for the family in order for the family to use some of the caregivers from the local, from Taiwan, and then can release some hours or sometimes for domestic workers from abroad can have a very regularly day off. That's the government try to push it. However, it's really take time because the long-term care resources still few, so it's cannot cover or share for most majority of the family who need. So that's become like the situation may be very difficult or dynamic for the community. However, what I want to say is, yes, those domestic worker helper try come to destination country to take the family. However, the destination, the destination country's family, the employer's family, you cannot rely on the domestic worker to take care of the whole family at the whole all the times, because they have also their own responsibility. I think the government also have tried to sort out these issues as soon as possible. I think the domestic workers from abroad, they don't really have the duty to take whole the responsibility for the care work at the employer's family. That's the one of the big issues. Then for the second, for the other question from Alisa, I'm not quite so catch her question. So if still have time to answer, then maybe maybe moderator can help to clarify the question, or maybe Alisa can she ask again? Otherwise, if lack of the time, so then I just sorry for that, and maybe I skip. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ting. The last speaker, please, Ibu Dr. Eva.
The question from Alisa, what's the question? Why is it important to build resilience for disabilities and women?
Yes, and the target is which one is harder to strengthen when the program target is family with a disability or family with a female as a head household.
Oh, okay. So if you ask me to choose which one is harder, like if we have the target families, I think for both have different characteristics. So I think both have special issue with that. So let's say for families with children with disabilities, they have the problem with coping stress, right? And then they have problem as well probably with the financial thing to help. Helping the children coping with their disabilities, with the education. Special education is not cheap, right? It's not. It requires high financial capacity, but then for families with household,
female is
household, usually they have problem as well with the stress, but less like a bit less stress than families with children with disabilities, but with the economic capacity, probably similar things. But again, for these families with female as a household, we still be able to empower through education for economic empowerment. Yeah, so means that they still have times to commit to our program. They don't have problem with that. So, and then means that they will be able to complete the programs, the resiliency program. Yeah, let's say for the economic empowerment for household women. At the moment, we still try to initiate this collaboration with Dinas as well, how to empower economic capacity for household women in rural area. But again, the commitment from these women are high. So it's easier for us to strengthen their resilience. But for families with children with disabilities, first thing about the time. So they have lack of time because they're very busy looking after their families, as well as they have capacity, what's that for education, what's that afford the good quality education for their disability children, etc. So, it doesn't mean that families with children with disabilities, what's that? It's impossible to reach out. It's not like that, but we need more strategy to involve them. Yeah, more strategy to involve them. We need to have what's that, adjustable program. We can't just like throwing the program and then hoping everyone participate, not like that. But we have to adjust what their requirement, what their availability, what their preferences for the style, something like that. So hopefully it's answer your question. So I can't say like this one is less reachable than this one, but they have different unique characteristic. So thank you for the question, Alisa.
Yeah, okay. So both of them are vulnerable group, yeah, and every group has their own challenges. Okay. Thank you very much to all of our distinguished speaker for sharing your valuable knowledge experiences today. We truly appreciate your insightful presentation and responses during the discussion. As we conclude this seminar, I would like to briefly reflect on what we have learned today. Although each presentation approached today the theme from a different perspective, they all convey one important message: building resilient children, families, and communities requires more than individual resilience. It also depends on inclusive policies, supportive institutions, and caring societies. Okay, I sincerely hope today's seminar has inspired new ideas, encourage meaningful discussion, and open the door to future collaboration between our institution in the...
Yes, Chair, could I just have some seconds?
Okay, probably, okay.
Just a few seconds.
Okay.
I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Professor Yelena and all the professors, researchers who support and make this seminar come true. And I really looking forward that you will, so for distinguished professors who will visit Taiwan, especially come to our campus, and we will organize a signing ceremony for an MOU between faculties of College of Humanity and Social Economic Centers, and together also with this center. So it's a great opportunity for us to learn, in particular for this session. I really feel very interesting and very learning. And I also hope that after our collaboration, so we can share more, for example, the research, and we'll have more intervention between two faculties and research centers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Liu. Give applause for our speakers from Taiwan and also from Indonesia. Next week, Ibu Dr. Eva, Prof. Arya, and others will come to Taiwan, Prof. Liu. We can meet face to face after that. Okay.
Yes.
Before we close this session, we would like to express sincere appreciation to our speakers for sharing their expertise today. So maybe I will invite Pak Tri, Prof. Tri, to give certificate virtually, maybe. For Dr. Ting first, as the first speaker.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Dr. Ting, I think I would appreciate for your contribution in our seminar. So this is I give for the appreciation. I give the certificate for you. So I hope that your your contribution is quite important for us. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank
And
you so
then
much.
for the second speaker, Professor Liu.
Okay, again, thank you very much for Prof. Liu for your contribution in our seminar today. I hope that we, your contribution and also give us the deeply knowledge to expand to extend our knowledge in IBP. Thank you very much. And I give you for the appreciation. I give you the certificate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih.
Next for our final presenters, our final speaker, Ibu Dr. Eva. I invite all the photographer, media, and other to capture this moment. Thank you, Pak Tri. Okay, before we close this session, we would like, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I would like to hand this session back to the Master of Ceremony. I'm Dina Nurdinawati. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibu Diana, and we will continue appreciate as a certificate. We will invite Professor Tri to use certificate. Only symbolist. It's symbolist. All right, thank you, Ibu Dina, to the finish lead and get with discussion session. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap up today's session, we have an important announcement regarding your certificate for the all participants, both here in the boardroom on the bottom or online to fill out the attendance form. This is a crucial instance for your e-certificate. Jangan lupa untuk mengisi form kehadiran yang tertera pada layar untuk e-certificate. Untuk yang di dalam Zoom, for Zoom participants, you can simply click the link that has been provided by a committee on the chat box. Please make sure to input your details and correct email address carefully. Thank you so much for your cooperation. And then we will listen a closing remark from Prof. Tri Prartono. Prof. Tri to closing remarks. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now come to end and of the very insightful for the seminar. And I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Professor Ting Wen Chin and Professor Liu Huan Lin Chen, and also Dr. Yulina Evariani. And to the organizing committee to making this event possible. And most importantly, thank you for all your participants today here in IPB. I hope that today's seminar gave new insight for your knowledge, and I hope that we can have further collaboration with the Taiwan and also Thailand. Thank you very much for coming, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Before we officially close today's event, we have some very exciting news to share with you all. We are pleased to announce that PKGA CGCS, in collaboration with Visema IPB, will be hosting an international webinar on July 23rd. The webinar is completely free and open to the public. We are proud to announce that the theme for the year's summer course is Empower Future Gender Justice and Child Protection in Agro-Maritime 5.0 Transformation. For more details and registration link, we will share further information on our Instagram at pkga.ipb and our official website. Additionally, our organizing committee will send the official posters directly through your WhatsApp group. So make sure to mark your calendars, follow our social media, and don't miss out on this incredible opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and all participants, we have finally reached the very end of event today. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to our three extraordinary speakers for sharing their invaluable insight, to our moderator for beautiful guiding the discussion, and of course to each and every one of you. Your incredible enthusiasm and active participation throughout this seminar. We hope that the knowledge shared today will inspire us to continue building resilient children, families, and communities in this ever-changing world. On behalf of the organizing committee in PKGA, I am your Master of Ceremonies, signing out. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful morning ahead, and we hope to see you again to at our next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone.
I'm changing all the station. I just do it heavy. We drew up to a better life. But I never have to fall. Oh, baby, why did you run away? I was there for when you got it's my power there for you when you got it's not. But I wonder when I was at the most down my knees. And you said how you so nowhere. You took it.
Untuk seluruh hadirin yang hadir pada ruangan pada siang hari ini, boleh untuk mengambil konsumsi untuk di meja registrasi depan dan menikmati konsumsinya. Terima kasih.
Sleep at night, hard to resist temptation. Because some mistakes come over me. Now I can't get over you. No, I just can't get over you. Oh, I was there for you when you darkest night. I was there for you when you darkest night. But I wonder when I was at the most down my knees. And you said you had me, no, no. But I wonder you said you had me, no, no. You're talking, so I'm going to leave to you. You know. You know. You and I go each other, we're going to war. You and I go road, we keep throwing things and slamming the doors. You and I get so and dysfunction, no, we start keeping score. You and I get sick, and I know that we can't do this no more. Yeah, but baby, you go again, making me love you. Yeah, I stop using my head, let it all go. Got you stuck on my body like a tattoo. And now I'm feeling stupid, calling back to you. So I cross my heart and I hope to die. That I'll only stay with you one more night. And I know I've said it a million times. But I'll only stay with you one more night. Try to tell you no. Body keeps on telling you yes. I try to tell you stop, but your lipstick got me so out of breath. I'll be waking up in the morning, time and hating myself. I'll be waking up feeling sad, I've been guilty as hell. But baby, you go again, making me feel yeah, I'm done with my head, is my head, let it all go, let it all go. Got you stuck on my body, like a tattoo. And now stupid, feeling stupid, I'm back to you. So I cross my heart and I hope you die. That I'll only stay with you one more night. And I'll stay a million times. But I'll only stay with you one more night. Taking the hard road. Yeah, taking the hard road. Yeah, taking the hard road. Baby, there you go again, making me love you. Yeah, I'll stop using my head, let it all go. Got you stuck on my body like a tattoo. Yeah, yeah. A million times. A million times. Million times. But I only